and returned to the comfort of her own blanket, just as the first of the bread ovens sprang into life. Awake and alert, she reached for Marmite Sprat's interpretation of the Milky Myers case, eventually drifting back to sleep to circle the Peggledrip house in a dream. A few minutes later, she was rudely awoken again, this time by a knock at the door, and the unmistakable sound of Beryl Butter's voice.
"Wakey, wakey, you two! You've got a gentleman caller. Poor lad looks a bit rough, but he's asking for Hetty and finishing a pie off in the yard."
Tilly sprang from her blanket and pulled Hetty's off her chair, hoping that the shock of cold air would do the trick. This time Hetty yawned and stretched, promising a more positive approach to the day.
"Come on, we've got to get dressed and tidy up. We've got a visitor,"
Tilly explained, as she folded blankets and shoved them into the staff sideboard.
"It might be a new case to work on.
There's a cat in the yard asking for you.
Oh, do hurry up. I'm dying to see who he is. And that explains the tapping in the night. It must be urgent if he came that early."
Tilly threw Hetty's clothes at her, crunched her way across to the table through last night's popcorn, and proceeded to bring some sort of normality to the aftermath of their scary night in. Hetty was less enthusiastic at the prospect of an unseen client in the backyard. Deep down, she hated meeting people, and would have lived in a very small bubble if she'd had any choice. But good cases that paid well were hard to come by, and their coffers were running low. A boost from the backyard was just what they needed. She pulled on her clothes, pushed her armchair back from the fire, and riddled the coals into life, adding some kindling to cheer things up. Then, in a rare moment of domesticity, she filled the kettle at the sink, switched it on, and rinsed their cocoa mugs, adding what they called their client's cup to the tea tray. By this time, Tilly had completed the transformation from bedsit to office, and had climbed into a business cardigan and some understated woolly socks, ready to receive their caller. She lifted the blind cautiously on a bright, frosty morning, shivering at the memory of all those winters out in the cold, waiting for the library to open so that she could thaw out on one of the radiators. It was there that she had discovered her love of books and her appetite for detective fiction, always knowing that at the end of each working day she would be turned out to search for a safe place to sleep. A movement in the corner of the Butter's yard brought Tilly back from a place she rarely allowed herself to go.
"I don't think he's going to make our fortune," she said, a little deflated. "Just look at him. Rough isn't the word for it, and a fighter too, I'd say."
The battered old cat had found the only shaft of sunlight to be had in the yard, and was making some attempt to clean himself after devouring a Butter's pie. Hetty looked closer, then suddenly ran from the room with Tilly in hot pursuit.
"I don't believe it!"
Hetty cried in the direction of this skinny bag of bones.
"I thought you were dead. They told me the storm had done for you."
She threw her arms round her unexpected visitor, doing a good job of crushing him to death.
"Hey, leave off. No need for all that," said the old cat, struggling to free himself from Hetty's welcome. "I was in the area, and I thought I'd look you up for old time's sake. And who's this pretty ball of fluff?"
The cat turned his attention to Tilly, who was hiding behind Hetty, too shy to take part in the grand reunion. Hetty responded with full introductions, pulling Tilly out by her cardigan. "This is my very best friend, Tilly Jenkins. Tilly, this is an old friend from my shed days, Mr. Bruiser Venusius." Bruiser took Tilly's paw and bowed low enough for his substantial whiskers to touch the ground.
"I'm very pleased to meet you," he said with a wink. "Any friend of Hetty's is a true friend of mine."
Tilly chuckled shyly, delighted with the gentlemanly attentions which contrasted so sharply with the cat's appearance. Beneath the dirt, he was a mostly white cat, his dense short fur distinguished by stripes of black and grey. But it was the battle scars that gave him away, the 1.5 years, the smile that lacked some teeth, the eye